but it means the same idea, okay? So in number one, our goal is to solve for the variable. So to do that, in essence, we want to isolate the variable. And what that means is this idea. We want to get the variable by itself, so we want to make the variable lonely on one side of the equal sign. Okay? So how do I do this part? So let's check out number one. So the way I teach my students, if I had you for IM1, is I like to put a line down the equal sign. Okay? And this makes it easier to see. Is my variable on the left side of the equal sign, or is my variable on the right side of the equal sign? Okay? Later on, you might have variables on both sides, but I'll show you how to handle that later. For now, you look, the variable I need to solve for is on the left side. So for now, we are going to ignore the opposite side. So we're going to ignore 13. We don't care about 13 yet. So this is how we're going to do this part. First, figure out which side my variable's on. It could be on either side. Now, the next thing we want to do is your variable, we want to get rid of anything that's on the same side of the variable except the variable. So in this case, we want to move anything on the same side of the variable. And the thing we want to move here, the only number that's present is 12. So our job right now, in order to isolate the variable, is to make 12 go away. And if 12 goes away, A is all by itself, and that's what we want. So how do I do that? It's pretty simple. In order to make something go away, you're going to do this by doing the opposite operation to both sides. Okay? I don't like to say opposite sign. You're doing the opposite operation. For example, if the number you're trying to get rid of, so in this case 12, if it was adding, to get rid of it, you subtract it to both sides. And vice versa. The number 12, if it was subtracting, we would add it to both sides to get rid of it. Okay? Same thing here. If the number we're trying to get rid of is multiplying, we would divide it to both sides. If the number we're trying to get rid of is dividing, we would multiply it to both sides. So now, the question you have to answer is, we know we have to get rid of the 12. We now have to ask ourselves, what the heck is 12 doing? Is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? And if you know what this little line means, we know that 12 is dividing. Okay? So to get rid of something that's dividing, we do the opposite, which is multiplying, and we're going to do that to both sides of the equal sign. So to get rid of 12, I'm going to multiply to both sides of the equal sign. So that's the left side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Okay? So now, if we do this, we have now essentially got rid of the number we're trying to get rid of. And we could simply cross those out. We have isolated the variable all by itself. Keep the equal sign lined up. And now we simply do this math. 13 times 12. If you need a calculator, do a calculator. Okay, 13 times 12 is 156. Is A by itself? The answer is yes. We are done. Okay? I know it's a long-winded way of explaining this, but I think it's very important that we understand how to get rid of things. Okay? For these problems we are doing right now, you really don't have to get rid of one thing. Later on, you're going to get rid of 2 things, or 5 things, or 6 things. Okay? Let's go ahead and jump to number 2. All right? So let's start off by figuring out what side is my variable on. There's my line. My variable's on the right side this time. That's okay. In math, it could be on either side. There's no right way to write equations. So our variable's B, and we have to get B all by itself. And what you'll notice right now is that we have a negative here. So I want to explain something. When you have a negative in front of a variable, it's the way we read this is not negative B. The true way of reading this, and I'm going to rewrite it, is this way. It's really -1 times b. Okay, so I'll show you that again. Even though it says -b, mathematically it's really -1 times b. That's what that really means. So if you can understand that, it's really easy to see, to get b by itself, I have to get rid of the -1. Okay? So if you look, -1 is doing what to b? Well, the -1 I'm trying to get rid of is multiplying. How do you get rid of things that are multiplying? You do its opposite operation, which is division, and we're going to do it to both sides. So in algebra, to show division, we do the fraction bar, and we are only dividing by the number we're trying to get rid of, which is -1. What you do to one side, do to the other, and that cancels out. We have the equal sign. My b is on the right side, so b is all by itself now, and now we just have to do this math. 32 divided by -1, -32, and we are done. Okay, so I really want to just mention this because a lot of students get this confused, all right? So we really did, it was really -b, which is really -1 times b, so we divided by -1, okay? I call this guy the negative. When you see a negative in front of a number or a variable, call this guy the skinny friend. And what I mean by that is there's really a 1 in there. The skinny friend, -1. Okay? So you'll hear me mention, hey, don't forget the skinny friend, and that's that -1 that's hiding in there. Okay? All right, let's do number 3. And hopefully some of you are pretty good with this. This is IM1 stuff. So again, here's my equal sign. I'm going to put the line right down there. My variable is on the left side. So that means I have to get rid of anything on the left side that's not the variable. So I have to get rid of 18. What is 18 doing? It's adding. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 18 to both sides of the equal sign. That cancels out, and v equals 25 minus 18, and that gives me 7. Okay, number 7. The variables on the right side. P, which means we got to get rid of the -10. What's the -10 doing? It is multiplying. So when you have a number written next to a variable, it actually means -10 times P. Okay? The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide -10 to both sides. This turns into -2 equals P. And then the last one, number 8. What side is my variable on? It's on the right side. So that means we have to get rid of the 19. What's the 19 doing? When they're written like this, variable and number next to each other, that's actually 19 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide by 19 to both sides. -114 divided by 19 is actually -6 equals x. Okay, so for those of you who just came in the Zoom, go ahead and check these, make sure you got them right. And then in about 1 minute, I'm going to give you the access code. The stuff